Well, let's talk about that exciting world of sports at the 13th African Games, where Nigeria currently stands at the second position next to Egypt. And we're trying to race as much as possible because people like Algeria, South Africa are right behind us. Any mistakes, they take over that position. So Cecilia Omorogwe brings us all the details. Cecilia Omorogwe is our sports anchor and correspondent. Cecilia, tell us.
It's great to be here again. I mean, the last time was all about football and the Nations Cup and everything. Well, African Games is going on and it's in Ghana. They were supposed to have hosted it last year. They didn't have enough money. So this year they decided to host. And if you look at the medals table, I'm sure if you've seen it earlier, you'll be looking at where is actually Ghana. They're actually 16th right now. 5 medals they've won, only 1 good medal. You have to rub that in. Okay, but for Nigeria, I mean, that medals table,
we did it to them on their own side.
I mean, precisely, which is really good. When it comes to African Games, it's just only Egypt and South Africa usually that compete with us. The last time we finished second, Egypt, of course, usually they have more athletes. They can go as much as up to 1,000 athletes going to the African Games.
Why do they have more athletes and we don't have that number right?
Okay, that question is for the NOC and the Sports Ministry, not for me. They have a reason for that. But the good news is, as of this morning, the updated medals table, Nigeria is second to Egypt right now. 60 gold medals, 60 medals we had so far. 23 of them are actually gold. And if you take a look at the gold medals we've won, the first few days when it started with tennis, table tennis, we're not winning. I mean, we won silver and bronze medal in table tennis. But then on Sunday, that's when it all started. It started with badminton. Okpeyerelu, who won in Morocco the last time in 2019, defended his title. He was up against Olufa in Nigeria and also Godin Olufa, and of course, he was able to win that. That's how it all started. In the evening, Sunday evening, it was all the female wrestlers that were in action on the night got 6 gold medals, and then that's how the gold started pouring in. And then the next day we went to weightlifting, and all the female weightlifters who were actually in action on that day also won medals. So wrestling, as weightlifting actually is giving us 16 gold medals so far, and it's still on. We're just starting. It's still on because weightlifting should end today. Today is 15th, right? So it should end today. So by the end of today, we may have more medals when it comes to weightlifting. And then you're talking about okay, there was actually one sport that we're thinking, what if, when I mean what if it was added to the medals table. I'm talking about the demonstration sport, mixed martial arts. For the first time, it's been introduced into the African Games. And of course, Nigeria, totally as usual, dominated all the countries that were in action. Egypt, Libya, South Africa, Mauritius, they were all part of it. Ghana also, but Nigeria won 12 medals. 5 of them gold. The reason why it's not added, because it's just like an exhibition sport. They're trying to see how they can introduce it. So hopefully next African Games, it should be a part of it. So Nigeria was dominant in that. Then you go to cricket, yes. Cricket also making its debut at the African Games also. And then at the end of the Nigeria finished 3rd, and they went in as the lowest ranked nation. So the female yellow greens, that's the women's team that won the bronze medal, defeating Uganda by 3 wickets. So that was also another plus for Nigeria at the African Games. So some sport that you didn't expect medals coming from. Chess also won a bronze medal in chess. So some of these sports that you don't really look at are actually not churning in medals right now at the African Games. So track and field is going to start. I believe when that starts, Ese Brume, it's there. Tobiloba Amuson also part of the squad. Ruth Usoro, she's also there. So these athletes, obviously, we're expecting medals from them.
Come on, Cici, let's rub it in.
Yes,
if not for the women, weightlifting,
thank you, wrestling, everywhere.
I mean, you just mentioned which sports just now?
Cricket.
Cricket, where the women also saved her. So let's talk about the achievements of women. Blessing Obo, Borududu,
yes.
Oduayo Adekoro. Let's celebrate these women.
We have to, because International Women's Day during International Women's Day during our program. We're trying to compare, the female athletes and players across Nigeria and the men, their achievements, and try to put it side by side. The gap was so wide.
So wide.
I mean, I was trying to who is actually close to Asisa Toshola? There was none. I mean, from Champions League to Nations Cup and everything you can think of. But this is African Games, and if we're talking about the women right now, let me tell you a story. The Falconets, we're trying to watch their games live. We're trying to watch the Falconets games live. When they played against Senegal, it was a very important game. Against Morocco, it was in stream. Against Senegal, it was in stream. And then Flying Eagles was also playing. So we're watching Flying Eagles. We're waiting for goals. It didn't come until 80th minute, and it was through the penalty spot. What happened at Super Falcons game? 4-0. You see the difference now. I mean, meanwhile, Flying Eagles were playing the day on the 20s. We were playing against South Sudan, ended 1-0, and Four Corners were playing against Senegal, ended 4-0. And you know, because you're playing in Cape Coast, it wasn't streamed because the men's team are in Accra, Ghana, so it was Accra, so it was easier for them to stream it live. So I was like, maybe we would have been enjoying the goals the ladies were scoring, but we're not seeing it. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you invest more in women's sports, you get more. That's what they're not understanding. That's what they're not getting. So if you invest more, you're going to get more. I mean, we're looking at, let me digress a little bit.
So you feel like
African women, yes, it will. The Africa Cup of Nations for women is holding this year. We don't know the date. CAF keeps saying that they are looking for a date. That's something that you actually gave to a host nation as far back as 2022. You're still looking for a date. If you take a look at FIFA's calendar, it's not even there. So the investment is not there from CAF to Nigeria. I mean, you don't put in money into it. Just imagine you put like a fraction of what you put into the men. I was listening to the president of Nigeria Wrestling Federation, Daniel Gali, was saying something about the fact that the president has actually set a precedent. That's the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, by giving houses and, of course, national honors to the Super Eagles for taking silver. What are you going to do to the 6 female wrestlers that won gold also in an African tournament? So you see, it doesn't happen like that. So football and also men's game usually just overshadows everything.
Okay.
Just put in more money.
Performance of women in the unusual sport, weightlifting. The women are also helping us in that.
They have more of the medals, of the gold medals than the men. So we've seen that it happens all the time.
I can see a lot of activism right here.
No, we're just trying to say invest.
So it's fine.
Yeah, invest in women's sports and then you get the results. Really,
another set of people we're not talking about are the Paralympians.
Yes.
I remember we went to, was it London?
Yeah.
Body people, we spent 4 billion also, correct me if I'm wrong. We didn't come up with an Earth medal. Earth medal. We didn't come back.
That so sorry time.
I had to go there because we need to more like, appreciate everyone who makes the nation proud, irrespective of the category. So let's talk about the future now. Algeria, South Africa, they are right behind us. Yes. In fact, gold medal, we're just one ahead of them. What must we do to keep that tally going for us and keep them
that's why I'm looking at track and field right now. I've mentioned some of the top athletes that are there. But that track and field also, South Africa is also another powerhouse when it comes to track and field. But Algeria and Egypt, they're not close to us. So the only I don't know, the only country we should be looking at right now will be South Africa. So once track and field starts and boxing is currently going on, we'll see what we can actually achieve from there. And in terms of football, it's just one medal, so you can't really count so much on that. And the Four Corners, they are defending champions, so there's a possibility that they can actually retain with the way they've started winning. So all we need to do, if only we had gone with more swimmers, we went with just 4 swimmers, and those 4 swimmers, they won bronze medal. With
all the coastal lions we have in Nigeria.
Yeah. 4 swimmers, imagine, that's how we went to the African Games. So when you're having those, and we went with 50 track and field athletes, so that is also a plus for us. But the other contingent, the way they attend this tournament, tells you a whole lot about them. Egypt, for instance, as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to African Games, they know they know their strength. Table tennis, there was a time we're dominating it, but now they've taken over. I mean, since 2011, they've been winning it. So it tells you that, okay, what do we do? Invest in all these lesser sports. Provide the facilities. It's so easy. Provide facilities and welfare. We don't even want to go to welfare because athletes are already complaining about that. But provide our facilities. Make sure the welfare is top notch so that when athletes are competing, they're not thinking about any other thing. They just want to win. So that alone is number one. So maybe they need some motivation or something. You can have someone speaking to the athletes. That also will give them an edge. Okay, people are talking about us at home. I mean, when I congratulated Blessing Oborududu and the likes, on their medals, and she was like, oh, you guys are actually watching us. I say, well, yeah, why not? You're talking about table tennis. And she was happy. They just want that belonging, knowing that, yes, someone is out there watching over us. Whatever happens there, if we get back home, we are going to get the rewards that we need. Just that investment is really key, really.
And her response is instructive, Sisi, because we're big on football at home. Imagine how we celebrated the Super Eagles during the just concluded games. But these games that have earned us the massive medals in Ghana, they're not popular at home. Talk about wrestling, talk about weightlifting. How many people go to the stadium to watch these?
Because how many championships how many competitions do they even have in a year? That's another, apart from wrestling that we all know, volleyball is also doing great, handball also doing great. These are some of the federations that are really doing great in terms of championships and competitions that they organize usually. Now, you see some athletes will tell you that they're supposed to go for a championship. I mean, when they went for the world team event, the table tennis team, they arrived after they had a walkover over Japan. Japan had a walkover over Nigeria because we arrived very late. I mean, that was funding. Imagine they've played their first game. They couldn't get anywhere. So that's some of the issues we look at. If, for instance, we have more of these competitions, more attention is paid into these sports, and then you discover that, yes, people will be interested, people won't talk about it. That's usually what happens. We've been talking about, we'll talk about handball regularly, volleyball, because why? They have a league. Basketball, for instance, don't have league in like forever in Nigeria since 2019, after COVID and everything. They just have like three months games, and then that's it. So how do you talk about that?
So still, for those who have not watched even one sport in this tournament, the African, where can they watch it?
I think GT, Ghana actually streaming it live on their official.
So what games
I mean, boxing today, just watch out for that.
Boxing, I love track and field.
Is going to start next. Don't worry, you're going to have a field day in that. And the Flying Eagles will be in action today, so all they need to do, win their game and they get to the semi-finals.
Well, Cecilia Morogbe, she came through with the big one for us. Both sports and activism for women. We get the gist. After all, we just celebrated International Women's Day, so it's fine, absolutely. Cecilia Morogbe is our sports anchor and correspondent. Thank you so much for your insight on this.
And Jeffrey, let's celebrate our women athletes. Blessing Oborodudu, we love you. Thank you for doing us proud. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely. So we're going on a quick break now. When we come back, yes, you will love this particular segment. I said it at the beginning. Find out after this break. Join us again.